today's section will be a SharePoint. Because SharePoint is very broad, you will not be able to use the next 30 minutes to consume all the things that it intends in SharePoint. So SharePoint will be into two discuss section. So today will be the first section. So as you can see on my screen now, let's look at the course outline for today. So because SharePoint is very broad, we've divided it, as I said earlier on, because SharePoint is very broad, we have divided it into various sections. So today is the first section. Then probably next 2 weeks, we would also have another section on SharePoint. So have you ever imagined having a centralized location to share information? So if it is yes to your question, that I just answered, then the right platform that you can use is SharePoint. So basically, that is what you can use for for you to have your SharePoint. So in today's course outline, we'll just look at getting started with SharePoint. We'll navigate through the SharePoint online, to see what you have there. Then because SharePoint is a role-based access control, so that means you then need to understand the various permissions levels. So the various permissions levels that we have in SharePoint. Then we'd also look at doing a search in SharePoint online. And then we'd also look at how you're able to find and follow various sites that have been created in the organization. Then we would also see how you're able to share a particular site that you create with your colleagues, either with your colleagues or with your external partners. Then as part of the component of SharePoint, we also look at how you're able to work with libraries and documents. So when it comes to libraries, we look at how you're able to create documents, how you're able to upload documents, the various ways we can use to upload documents. And then we'll also look at how you're able to edit a document. Then as part of editing a document, we would also look at the co-authoring. We would look at the checkout and check-in of a document. And then we'd also look at requesting sign-off for a particular document. And then we would look at adding metadata. There are certain documents that you need to add extra information to it. So that is where you then add metadata to it. So we just look at how you can be able to add metadata to a particular document. And then we'd also look at creating an alert on a particular document or this library. And then we'd also see how you're able to sync a document library to your PC. Because SharePoint is a web-based, at least there's that functionality whereby you can work directly on a PC without going to your site. So that is where we then look at how you're able to sync a document library to your PC. As I said earlier on, SharePoint is very broad. So if we are not able to cover all these topics, then we'll just schedule it for our next section. Okay. So many will ask what SharePoint is. So SharePoint is part of the Microsoft Cloud Solutions. Okay, that helps organizations to share and also manage content. And then as part of the managing content, they can also acquire knowledge and also various applications. And then in the process of acquiring knowledge, then it can also empower your teamwork because you're acquiring knowledge. That knowledge that you acquire in the form of collaboration and all that, it will empower your teamwork. And then it also helps you to quickly find information. So if I quickly want to find any information within our organization, then we can use the SharePoint to do that. And then we can also seamlessly collaborate with our colleagues across the organization. Then why use SharePoint? Basically, one problem that I have observed is that when people don't know the use of something, they tend to underutilize it. So that is why it is important that you need to know why you should use SharePoint. So that is why, so if you know how, or if you know why you should use SharePoint, then in that case, you're able to make use of it. Organizations that we've deployed the Office 365 application for, the common problem that's mostly come across is that is one, they don't know why we should use the SharePoint. So that is why you have taken, that's why I want to take my time and just explain to you why you should use SharePoint. At least if you understand why you should use a SharePoint, then in that case, it will also inform you, and that you can be able to utilize the SharePoint application very well. So why should you use SharePoint? Now, you use SharePoint, why should you use SharePoint? Because one, it is for collaboration purposes. Now, what do you mean by collaboration? So SharePoint provides us with a rich collaboration environment whereby you can share information within yourself, or also you can also share information outside with your third party, or with your client, or with your listing, with your third parties. Okay, and also as part of the collaboration, it also helps with co-authoring. SharePoint previously, about 5 or 6 years ago, SharePoint will not give you that flexibility to do co-authoring. It is either I modify the document myself, then after modification, one will take over. But now SharePoint offers us that flexibility to do co-authoring. Then the second point is also SharePoint offers you a modern intranet. We'll just look at some of the various intranet portal that you can create in SharePoint. So SharePoint also, yeah, you can also leverage on SharePoint to create a modern intranet. So you can have a very rich intranet portal whereby you can have various information. Then if someone also wants information, the person quickly can go to your intranet portal. There's no need for you to be sharing, or there's no need for you to be sending emails if you want to relay an information to your people internally. So that is why you can also leverage on the tools that SharePoint offers, so that you can create an intranet portal, so that within that portal you can display any information that you want your users to have. There's also the governance and also compliance aspect. So for organizations, mostly what people care about is their personal documents. So how their personal document will also remain compliant with their with their regulatory bodies. But sometimes what we also overlook is the fact that we all share documents together. So how then can you also make sure that the document that I am sharing with my colleagues internally, the documents that I'm also sharing with my external parties, how compliant is that document? How are you making sure that that document is compliant with our regulatory bodies? How we can also be making sure that there will be no data leakages. So SharePoint also gives you that flexibility to also handle or to also prevent data leakages. So that also comes in the form of governance. There's also a customization. So as part of the creation of intranet in your listing, you can bring on board a third party application. So you can onboard your third party application that you are using into it, so that at least with one platform you'll be able to collaborate. You'll be able to have an intranet to display your information. You'll be able to make sure that all your documents that you have, they are all compliant with your regulatory bodies and all that. So that is why, so this is some of the reason why you should be able to use SharePoint. Now, what I will do is that I will display about 2 or 3 SharePoint portal for you, just to explain to you that you can have a SharePoint portal that will go hand in hand with a collaboration that you can also use to as an intranet and also as a customization. So I will exit my PowerPoint slides. Then I'll go to, before I go to the lesson, so I will then display to you some of the customization that we've done in SharePoint. So if you could see, I made mention of SharePoint be an intranet portal. So this is an example of SharePoint. This is an example of we using SharePoint as our intranet portal. So we've customized an intranet portal. So that portal has various departments. Okay, so we have an event page whereby you display all the company events. Then you also have an FAQ. Okay, so that is we just display some of the things that we do. So if someone in the organization want to know anything, you can just place it in there. There are also jobs aspects. So there's also the news whereby you will also post me. Then also who is whoever it also talks about knowing your colleagues. Okay, then if you see that as part of this, as part of our intranet, we have notifications here. So we can easily send a notification out without even sending emails, because sometimes emails can be nuisance, and like, because SharePoint is also works across all devices. So I can access all this information on my tablet. I can also access it on my mobile phone too as well. So there's information here. So I can just click on information just to display whatever the information is talking about. Yeah, there's also birthdays. Sometimes it's also important that at least you can have birthdays. So if you have internet access, whereby colleagues can see the upcoming birthdays of their co-colleagues, then that will also be better. Then at least you can also have something like a recent hires, whereby colleagues can see, okay, so those that they recently employed. And then I made mention that you can also bring about third-party applications. So you can have a section whereby if you are using any third-party application, you can just onboard it in the form of my apps as well. Then also, so that is just how you'll be able to use SharePoint as a intranet portal. In the meantime, if anyone has a question, in order for us to keep the section very interactive, if someone has a question, you can just raise your hand and just you would unmute your mic, then you can ask your question, or you can, or either way, you can type your question.
Okay, so today we actually have our principal consultant, Mr. Kufu, also as the co-presenter as well. We want to make this very discussive. Carl, please kindly go back to the portal, please. I see some hands. I don't know whether it was for the previous question we asked, but if there is any question, kindly put it in the comment section. Then if you want to also be allowed to speak, let's know so that we do that. So kindly go back to the portal, please. So like he said rightly, this becomes your single source of truth. Sometimes when the organization is large, it becomes difficult to disseminate information. And like he rightly said, emails could sometimes be a nuisance. And in most cases, some other things that are not core operations, like a fumigation exercise, there might not be the need to send email across the organization for that. But if someone also chooses to have some small sits in the office at the weekend, it will also be some form of a nuisance. So once it's there on the SharePoint, on his tablet, on his phone, he's able to know this. I also want to be quick to add that the SharePoint should be adopted on the corporate scale. Why am I saying this? You cannot say that, okay, you know about SharePoint, so you want to do it with your department. It's not going to give the full value. So is there a question I have from Mr. Akita? Please allow Mr. Akita.
Ask the question. I've not asked the question.
Akita, you're on floor, please.
Yes, I'm saying that I've not posed the question. I've not posed the question. I'm just listening to it.
Hello, Mr. Akita, you're on floor.
Hello, I am saying, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying that I have not posed the question. I have not posed the question.
Edmond, can you hear? Carl, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, Edmond, so you can mute for now, so that you can align. Carl, show the screen and then let's hold a bit and then we'll take the question. If you have a question, please type it and then type the question so that it is easy and then we'll be able to pick it. Once we pick your question and try to answer and want further, else we will not be able to make much within the time that we have. Type it briefly in the chat window. Once we read it and we answer, we can then directly unmute you and then you pick it so that we do. So let me just add some real life scenario, then we can go into the practicality of it. So you are in an office. Typically, when we want to post news, we would have a notice board, and then they will be posting a memo or a statement or a letter or anything of that sort. So there's a notice board everybody checks. Along the line, we then started scanning these notes. Carl, Edmond, if you can mute. So along the line, we started scanning these notes or these letters and emailing them. Carl, stay on the customized page. We start emailing these notes around in our email. What happens is that sometimes people miss it, or you then see that there will be a first one and then there will be an updated one. Then that will also be email. People don't know which is which. That's what Edmond by single source of truth. Now, all this was going on until COVID. When COVID came, everybody went home. Business has to go wrong. How do you notify everybody without using the email that may not have the latest version of the information, the SharePoint portal? So that is how practical it is in terms of bringing SharePoint to the fore of using. So one of the things he said about there's a portal. So it's a portal that is able to display the information that you need to the people at the right time without necessarily broadcasting various versions of it. Now, one more interesting thing. What about we can post a notice board information, but it is limited to only a certain people? That is also possible in SharePoint, where we can have departmental portals where only those in that department or only those in that project will be able to see it. That will be interesting. When you go to the document management side, we'll be able to upload document, something like leave, policies, regulations, document that people must refer to. If we email them and there's a new version, we email again. Then there's an updated version, then we email again. We can put it in that document portal where the latest single source of truth is there. Everybody sees it and is able to pick it. What if we can restrict that document such that people can see it, but they cannot download it? What if people can download it, but they cannot email it to anybody? What if that document can be classified based on its content? That in case the document have a content that is sensitive, maybe it has certain numbers or certain document, maybe it's an internal document that displays the rate of the day, where we only want to restrict internal people and we don't want it to go anywhere. Is there a way to control that? Yes, that is what he said by governance. And so the governance will help you. What if the document must be uploaded, but after 7 years, the document must be deleted? What if the document must be reviewed every 6 months? How do you get the prompt for it? That's a SharePoint for you. Now, just to put the final icing on the cake, you cannot, what you can see is that we can customize it better. What you're looking at is a simple, basic customization where we're able to keep it very simple. You could see our logo is just there, not much, just black, white, and blue. What if you want something more juicy? Carl, flip to the Gold Coast one. We are able also to customize it in such a way that it looks more flashy, as you can see. This is something that we did as a test. So these are the same SharePoint where we totally change it to make it look very flashy and make it that sharp. Of course, that will come with the requisite skills that is needed. Those are extra services that we provide. And if you're interested, you let us know. So the SharePoint is that single source of truth that you can collaborate, you can share information, and yet you will be able to meet your standards. Let's say you have signed up to ISO 27000, ISO 9000. How do you make sure that these policies actually apply to your document without you going around peeping people? That's a SharePoint for you. Carl, you can now go into the practicals if there's no other comment. So if you have any question, you can type. That is just to bring it to home to you, how realistically you can put SharePoint to use in your organization and make the most out of it. I'll hand over to Carl for Carl to now take us to some practical steps on how a user can use the SharePoint page. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben, for your input. Okay, so quickly, before we go into how users are able to use it, I would quickly want to show you. I made mention of the governance. So, so this is just how a governance can also be looked at. So let me quickly go to a finance department. Then I can have something like accounting. So quickly, I made mention of metadata in a distant outline. So you can see that you've created various metadata just to hold certain information on this particular document. So that I can pick this annual report and know that with this annual report, it contains information like financial reporting. And then I can also know that this particular document came from the finance department. Then we can have various metadata. So that's the information that I want to have. So the information can be maybe the vendor or the invoice number of that particular data. Then I made mention of the governance. So this is where if any data is coming from finance department, maybe that data must be retained for a particular number of years before it goes into review. Then this is the retention label that it will have. Then if I have a particular data like let's say December receivable, okay, so which is coming from also a finance department, then I can also have it should retain for 5 years and then later also delete it. So these are some of the governance information that you can also apply to a document in this in SharePoint. Okay, so with that, so with saying that, I'll quickly go to the SharePoint homepage just to look at it. I did mention that. So if someone logs into the SharePoint online or the SharePoint, so this is the main SharePoint landing page. Depending on the permission that is given, sometimes administrators in the organization can limit the creation of site to only designated people. Then in that case, if that is so in the organization, the users might not see the create site and the create news post. Okay, but if it is allowed, then that means that users can see the create site and also the create news post. Now we have the SharePoint start page. So basically what you are seeing is a SharePoint start page. On a SharePoint start page, you have various sections. So on my left-hand side, I have the following. So the following is all the sites that I'm currently following. So all the sites that has been created in my organization that I am following, then that is what I will see. And then I can also get to see there's also the recent option. So the recent option also looks at the various sites I've recently accessed. So you can see that I just accessed the enterprise content management. So that is something that I am seeing there. So you can also see that I also access the multi-thread workspace. So if I want to follow a particular site that has been created, then I can just use the star icon beside that particular website name. Then I can just click on it. Then basically the site appears to my following. So I can see the multi-thread workspace in there and all that. Now, beneath the home page or beneath the start page, we have my site. So my site are basically sites that you are part of or sites that you've been given access to. So if I click under my site, I can see all the sites that I have access to. Now, note that I made mention that SharePoint is, how do you call it? I made mention that SharePoint uses role-based access control. So what the role-based access control does is that you see what you've been given access to. So I can pick another account, and then with that account, I cannot access a certain site. So for instance, I have another account here. Okay, so this is another account that I have so that is training at multithreadict.com. Then this is so this is my personal account. So if I pick for instance, this Gold Coast website, then I made copy of it. Then I just do. So I'm trying to access the Gold Coast account with another account. So you can see that I am getting, you need permission to access this site. Why? Because SharePoint uses, as I said, SharePoint uses the role-based access control, whereby before you can visit any site, you must be given access to it. Okay, so that is that. So what I will see under my site in my account, that will not be the same thing that I will see when I switch to to the training account. So for instance, if I go to my site under my training account, for instance, okay, so I will see limited sites. Why? Because this training account is limited to a particular number of sites, but not all sites. So that is something that you can also take notice of it. Then you can also see news posts. That is my news. So any news posts that has been posted recently in all the sites that you are part of, then you can see them. So I can see all the news posts that has been made in the sites that I am following. At least that also gives me easy access for information. So if I quickly want to look for any information out, then my first point of contact is that I can go to my SharePoint start page, go to my news, then I can see all the current news items that have been posted. Then there's also my files. So that is another functionality that Microsoft has also added. Previously, it was very difficult accessing files that has been shared on SharePoint site. So that is why Microsoft trying to make it easier for you to look for your any files that you've shared or any files that have been shared in all the various sites. The right platforms. And so instead of me jumping to all the sites to go and look for new files or new document that has been uploaded, then directly I can just come to my SharePoint start page, which is basically instant. So I come to my start page. I go to my files, so I can see all the recent files that have been uploaded. So you see that all these are files that have been recently uploaded, and they are uploaded in various sites. So you can see that this site was uploaded in different SharePoint site. This one was also uploaded in different also SharePoint site. So that is the start page of the SharePoint portal. Now let's see how you'll be able to create a document management library, or let's say document library. Now, as I said earlier on in the intro or in my outline, I made mention that you look at working with libraries. So how you'll be able to create documents and all that. So quickly, let's go to, I'll pick a particular site. Okay, so this is a SharePoint library, for instance. So this is a SharePoint library. Now, in order to also demonstrate it, the permission level that I stated earlier on. Now, this SharePoint library has various folders in it. Okay, so you can see that this library has various folders in it. But if I go to my training account, and then I go to that same document library, I could see that I have limited access, even though it is the same SharePoint site, but this account doesn't have certain folders in it. So you can see that for this account, the folders in it is very limited. So that is something that you can take notice of it.
Just to add and clarify on that, what that means is that based on your access level, you might not see certain things. In a typical scenario, what we were doing was that in an office, there will be a shared folder, and then the shared folder is shared with people. So there will be a main folder, and then there may be maybe 3 or 4 subfolders. So in the finance department, there may be audit, there may be account payable, account receivable, and all those subdivisions. Then if somebody is added to the main finance folder, he sees all the other folders. It's just when they click on it that maybe it may say you don't have access. And sometimes if the configuration is not right, then it opens. When it comes to SharePoint, if you don't have access to the folder, you won't see it. That means that both of us will be in the finance department. When you open the finance folder, you only see 2 folders. But when I open it, I'll see 3 folders. Why am I seeing you are saying 2? It's because of permission level. You don't have the permission to access it, you will not see it at all, so that you can even try it at all. So that's just to clarify that. Carl, you can go on.
Yeah, good. Okay, so before we move into creating folders and creating documents, let's look at search in SharePoint site, or in SharePoint basically. Now, the search has been made very flexible. So now, what now is happening is that search is also limited to access level. So I can make a search here. So I'm trying to look for a workshop, for instance. So I can make a search here. So I can make a search. Now it has been extended broadly. As I said, it has been extended broadly. So I can filter the kind of search that I want. So I can search for files. So if probably the workshop that I'm looking for, it is a file, I can search for it. I can see I'm looking for the name workshop, but that workshop should be a file. So in that case, I can see all workshop that are file related. Or let's say probably I want to look for, let's say, sites or various sites that have been created that contains the name workshop. So if there's none, you see that there's none in there. And then even with the type of file, you can even specify the type of file that you want to search for. So if probably I'm looking for workshop, but probably with that particular workshop, that should be a Word document, then I can just select, I can just do the filter by the file type and just do the apply. Then I can see all the files, okay, that have the name workshop in it. That contains the word workshop. As I said earlier, now search has also been triggered, or search has also been done by access level. So that means that you can search for what you have access to. You cannot search for something that you don't have access to. So that is something that you can also take notice of it. So so that is the search level. I'll go to the document library. So what you are basically seeing is that we've created a document library site in SharePoint. So the purpose of this site is to share only documents. So that is why you are seeing that this site is purposely for this. So this is not an internet site. This is just for the management or for even storing of this document. Ordinarily, what would have happened is that people save documents on their PCs or in their personal OneDrive. Now, before I can get access to it, I then need to call you before you can share that document, or I need to send an email to you before I can get access to it. But if as an organization we have our source of, or we have our entry point whereby we can save all documents, it doesn't matter there's a department, because of access level, we can have our entry source of document whereby you can push all your documents to, and then we can let them access it based on their permissions level. So that is why it is important that at least if you're not using your SharePoint as an intranet, at least you should use your SharePoint as a document library, so whereby you have your entire organization folder, and in that folder you can have subfolders in it. So I'll pick a particular folder, for instance. So let me pick a training folder, for instance, here. Okay, so this is a folder that has been created. Now, if I want to create a folder, there's a new icon here. So I can create a new folder, okay, and name that folder SharePoint. Okay, good. Now, by default, this SharePoint picks the permission of my document library. Okay, so by default, this folder that I have created here, it picks by default the folder that I have created, it picks the permission level from the parent site. So that is a document library. Now, if I want to restrict it, then that is where you then use the manage access, but you look at that one later on. Okay, so now that I have my folder here, I can create a new item. Okay, so I can create a Word document directly in here. So let me quickly pick a document here. Okay, and just type this. Okay, new document. Now, um, now what will happens is that by default, there's no need for you to save this document. The document that because I am using the Word online to create a new document. What happens is that automatically it saves the document for me. So even if I have low battery or maybe I am working on a desktop and then there's even a light out or something, then in that case, whatever points that I reach, the document will be saved for automatically. So this is a document that I have created. Now, because I want to change the name or I want to give this document a new name, I'll click on the document on top of it. Okay, then I'll just give it. Okay, so this is a test document. Let me just quickly name it as a test for now. Okay, good. Then when I am done, I can just close it easily, close it, and then I can refresh it. Then my document is here saved. Now you are seeing that the document is requiring for an extra information. So what is happening is that a new metadata has been added, to this library such that if someone is creating a document or if a document is created, then it should specify the department that the document is coming from. So I can click, I'll just go to that, I'll go to this document, for instance. Okay, because it is requiring for department, then I can quickly go and select the department. Then in that case, I have just done it. So this is one option that we can also have our document. We can also upload a file. So I'm going to upload various files. Okay, let me upload a file quickly. So I can select all the files here. Let me quickly select all the files here and quickly I'm uploading them. So I have also uploaded the document because it's also requiring for. Okay, so because it is requiring for the metadata, for instance, so let me quickly do this. Okay. All right, so let me do this quickly. And then I am done. So this is this is we having documents in our various document library. So now let's see who has access to this particular folder that we just uploaded. Now, if I go to this particular document, for instance, then I click beside it, okay, then I go to manage access. So I can see those that have access to it. Now, I can see that I have, by default, there are various groups that are created. Okay, so you have the company administrator. They by default, they have access to all folders that is being created. Then we have the SharePoint administrator. They also have access to it by default. And then there's also the team sites members and all that. Now, so these are the people that have access to this particular folder that I have created here. I'll go back to my other account and check. So I would refresh it and see whether the folder that I created is in there. So that folder was created in the training folder. So quickly, it was created in the SharePoint. Okay, so I have the files here. So the files that I created, the training account can also access it based on the permissions that you set. So I'll pick on one document, and then you do a co-authoring on that particular document. So for instance, this is a new document that I have here. Now, now that now that we have our documents in it, so now what is left is for us to do a co-authoring on that particular document. So I would open my other account. Yeah, so this is the documents library. So I would open it. Okay, so quickly, I'll just make, so quickly, when I open it with my other account, you could see that on this icon here, you could see my name there. Why? Because I have also opened that, I've also opened there's a document. So I can, so this is my part to edit. Okay. Okay, so this is my part to edit. All right. And then I'll go to the training account. So you can see that I have it here. Okay. So I go to my training account. So while I am in it, at least I get notified that Carl Graham is also modifying this document. So in that case, I'll pick another section. I know that. Then okay. So okay. Okay. On this section. Okay. I'll work on this section. And then I go back to my account, then that is in there. So this is the co-authoring, or this is we picking a particular document and then we are working on it together. Now, the advantage of this is that I can be anywhere. So I can have my colleague in the office, and then I can also have my other colleague, let's say, outside of the country. We can still collaborate on it. There's no need for us to send emails back and forth and all that. But you can sit together. My colleague can be in another location, and then you'll be working on it, together.
Okay. Thank you very much, Carl. I think for the next 10 minutes, if there are questions, I want to hear from you. So kindly show by your hand. We'll just allow your mic, then you can ask your question. Do I see a hand from Eric? Carl, please allow the mic. Carl, the question is, can SharePoint be customized to allow external parties who do not use SharePoint in the organization to sign into the SharePoint portal developed to engage external entities? Does it also work for self-sign up for such external entities? So I don't know whether Carl or Mr. Kupu want to pick it.
Okay, yes. So that is the beauty of SharePoint. You can allow for external access. And now I know government agencies, now what they do is that they don't share if there's any tender. I've seen about 2 or 3 government agencies doing that. Now, if there's any how do you call it? If there's any tender that they are doing, they put all their requirement folder in SharePoint, and then they allow third parties to also access it. Now, what they've done is that even though it is internally, okay, so what is it that now external parties can come in. So now, yeah, so you can customize SharePoint and then allow external parties to also have access to it. Then with your second part, also, can SharePoint also develop to engage external parties. Yes, that is something that I have already answered. And then it can also be customized to also allow third-party applications. So if you have any third-party application that you also want to have on your portal, you can also customize your SharePoint portal to also pick external applications.
Hello, Carl. Thank you for the presentation. My second question hasn't been answered properly. My concern is, can we allow self-sign up? So, like Google, you can sign up or can create an email address to use Google without any intervention by Google. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. If I want somebody to use it who is coming from an external company, not internal, and the person is not using SharePoint in the organization, can we allow them to sign up, maybe create a page for them to sign up and then be able to have access, because we want them to have access to certain information that we have created on the portal. Is it possible? Thank you.
Yes,
let me
it is
pick this.
possible.
Let me pick this. Maybe the comparison is not the same. Maybe what Google is doing is not what SharePoint is trying to do is to control information security and information management. Can somebody sign up? You cannot sign up and create an account in somebody's tenant. What it is that the internal organization can decide to create what we call an extranet. In the extranet, they decide what information they want to put there. Once the information is put there, people who have the link will access it as a guest. So they will pick the information. If you want anybody outside the organization to be able to access a document, you send the person an invitation link where the person gets invited. And then by that invitation link, you then restrict what the person can see and what the person cannot see. The person himself signing up will only make a request, still back to the administrator, for the administrator to permit whether the person will do it or no. So in terms of automatic sign up and access information, it will breach the basic protocol of security. So I don't know, you can come back if it's not clear, but sign up is restricted to getting to the point where the administrator will have to authorize it. But the Google one you're talking about, I don't know exactly which one it is, but this is how this one works.
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin. Yeah, so I think we'll have to pick this up offline. There's a project I want to do in my organization. We currently have a disclosure portal for our various stakeholders, listed companies on the stock exchange, and we want to upscale that disclosure portal. And one of the requirements is to have a self sign up. So the issuers who are using this platform will self sign up. What we've noticed is that we are creating the account for them, and it's quite difficult for them because they have high turnover. The persons who are being assigned to manage the disclosure portal, they often get re-engaged to different assignments, and they have to bring new people to. So they want to be able to do that on their own. So they will be able to create their accounts for the users who are using the portal.
Sure.
This is the requirement. So have a self sign up. Sure. I think we will have to take this offline.
Yeah, we take it, but for the benefit of our users, so what you are saying fit perfectly into it. So what will be is that they will sign up, and then the request will come to the admin to authorize. So it will not be creating. So, but I think it comes back to that. The governance principle is to control that people don't just sign up and do things. But we could look at an automated script in case you want to say that when you are signing up and your email address is like this, and you choose this organization and you meet certain criteria, you should automatically be approved. But for security purposes, the person can sign up, it will come as a request, and then the admin will authorize and then use it to control what he can see and what he cannot see. But like you said, we can take the details offline. But just for the benefit of our listeners who are looking at something like that, the people can make a sign up request and then you authorize it and assign them. Or we do an automated script that says that if the person sign up and his email address is at x.com and he meet this certain criteria or this OTP or that kind of thing, it should be allowed auto enrollment. Yeah, so that is possible. All right.
Okay,
Carl,
thank you.
yeah, Edmund.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eric, for the question. Normally, we want these sessions to be very interactive. And I think we have made a commitment to be out of this place latest by 11, and we'll keep to that. But I want to be hasty to add that the SharePoint adoption on a corporate level should not be an individual or even at the departmental level, because if it's done that, you might not have the full value, because we all expect that certain folders or files are within certain places that we can always have access to. So when you decide to go on SharePoint and some people are still keeping documents on their machine and they are not keeping the documents in the repository as you've created it, then it becomes counterproductive. So this whole SharePoint conversation should be taken in its own holistic sphere and be taken in terms of training, in terms of letting the new users even understand how to bring it home, so that you know you are getting the full package in terms of the benefit. We will take closer remarks from Benjamin and Carl, and if there is any question, we would deal with it and we'll sign off for today.
Yeah, it's fine by me. Carl can go ahead and conclude it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So in concluding, as SharePoint is very broad, and then my approach is that you take it step at a time. So at least you all know that at every organization, you all know that you share documents. Okay, so that means that you can start the adoption of SharePoint by just simple creating a document library, whereby you can allow your colleagues to upload their documents, so that if I want to look for a particular document, there's no need for me to pick my phone to call you, or there's no need for me to even send an email. So at least in all, even though we are not done yet, we would continue. There will be a second part that is go to the next 2 weeks. There will be a second part whereby you just look at all the various permissions level and all that, how you don't want to be interrupted. So if I'm creating a document, then I don't want to be interrupted. So how then do you go about it? So that is something that we will look at it at our section 2 of it. But in all, SharePoint adoption should be taken a step at a time. I mean, if you don't have the capacity, to design an intranet portal, at least you can first the adoption by first creating a document library first, create all the various folders that you have, and just give it a right naming format. Then when that is done, then users are really being engaged on it. Then you can also go a step further by looking at the intranet portal. Then if you face any difficulties, you can come back to us. You can contact Edmond on it for further listening. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.